There it is. Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode number 123 of the Self-Publishing Roundtable, the podcast for indie authors, by indie authors, where we discuss today's topics and issues that matter to the business of the self-published author. I am your moderator, Wade Finnegan, and my co-panelists this evening are Erica Conroy.
Morning.
There we go. It's actually early in the day for her. And Xavier Granville.
Oh, hello, internets.
Liam Kingman is caught in the first ice storm of the year up in his too far north neck of the woods.
The first of many.
First of many, probably. So he could not get to a computer. So, Liam, I hope you can maybe tune in later. Hope you're doing well and slipping and sliding. Our special panelist for this evening is Meredith.
That's right. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Meredith is a virtual assistant, whereas Erica kind of characterized it. She fell into the world of publishing by accident, and she works full-time now as an assistant for several authors in various genres, and really likes the job, sounds like. It's exciting and fast-paced. But we wanted to pick her brain about why would we even need a virtual assistant and a bunch of other things that people have been asking. So, Meredith, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm excited.
Cool. It didn't scare you away. Everybody watching live, you know the drill, right? Selfpublishingroundtable.com. You should be there already. But make sure you leave your questions, comments, for Meredith. I saw that Krishan already has them down at the bottom, so let's make sure we don't miss those. And we'll get them into the conversation. And when the show's all over, of course, leave us a review on iTunes. Share us around the internet. Give us a thumb up on YouTube. Hey, not to toot our own horn, but our donate button worked the other day. And hey, we have somebody out there that's willing to help us out with the show a little bit. So if you guys are in the giving spirit, please click on the website, little button in the upper right-hand corner. Thank you so much. So
Deck our freaking halls.
Please. Very kindly, please. All right, Meredith. So let's just start off with a general question. You're a virtual assistant. What the heck do you do?
Well, that's a pretty broad umbrella. Yeah. I do anything and everything, within legality and morality. But
that's a pretty fine line if it's me.
But basically, I do any kind of online work that I like to call it the busy work for most authors. Sending out emails, contacting blogs, dealing with their schedule, all that nitty-gritty stuff that gets annoying really quick. I enjoy. I like filling out lists and bubble sheets. So that's what I do for people.
Lists and bubble sheets. I like it.
What I do all day.
So how did you get started on this? How'd you get
well, actually, my family moved abroad for a while, and I didn't have a visa to work in the country. And I needed something I could do online. And I had been interested in self-publishing, my own stuff, which, I'm a not very good poet. And everyone knows there's no money in poetry anyway. But I'd kind of been around authors and writing groups, and then I decided I had the organizational skills a lot of people were looking for a virtual assistant. And I started just working with friends, people I knew closely, and it kind of grew from there. So until today, where I'm quite busy and hoping to expand at some point, maybe make my own little virtual assistant factory happen one day.
Her own sweatshop.
My own sweatshop, filled with my family and friends.
Semi-legal and loving it.
Nice. So now, do you solely virtual assistant for authors, or is there other things that
I work only with authors? Yeah.
Okay.
Across various genres, mostly romance, but I do. You have a couple of mystery and sci-fi writers in there too.
Okay. And how's the application process for them? Do they just come to you, or do you have a screening process, or do you have a certain criteria?
Not really. I do. Mostly I work with people I know pretty well from previous interactions. And at this point, my waiting list is pretty long. So, before I would even have an opening, I'll have talked to them probably for quite a while. Just to make sure that the person and I will work well together and we build trust, because, it's a big part of what I do is I get to see if their pen name, I know their real name and stuff like that. So I want to make sure we're going to work well and not have any awkward feelings about that.
Okay, cool. When would you, well, I don't know if I put the cart before the horse here, but I guess I'll start with this 'cause I'm really curious. When would you recommend an author get an assistant? At what point in their career?
I mean, everyone kind of has their own needs. Some people get someone right out the gate, even before they see their writing be profitable, because they just want help setting things up. So I've had people start right at the beginning of their career. They'll have me help them, set up a social media presence and get their mailing list set up and all those first steps. And then after that point, I can either continue working with them or they'll just go on their merry way. And on the other end, you have a lot of people that once they've become so successful that it gets overwhelming to do a lot of those daily tasks, then they'll hire an assistant. So, it kind of just depends on what the person needs and how overwhelmed they feel, I guess.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay. So I was going to make sure I tackle Krishan's questions too. I think I just did the one there. But so when she says, what noobs can do to keep our VAs from hating our guts? What are some?
Well, usually we're a pretty laid-back crew, but I think a big thing for me is just clear communication. Be really specific about what you need and when you need it. There's nothing more frustrating than having someone be kind of vague about what they want or not be clear about their timeline, and then too far down the line realize you're going to have trouble hitting that goal. I've pulled some all-nighters because of some bad communication before to get stuff done at the last minute, and that's never fun. So, just try to be as clear-cut as you can. Bullet points are great. I know authors tend to be a little wordy, but if you can, write everything down in very clear, concise bullet points, your assistant will love you forever.
That's good. Yeah, communication is key, probably just for about every relationship, right? Probably even more so with this one. So, the other one that I haven't had yet, she says, what things should we as authors look for or ask when we're starting to look for a virtual assistant? Is there ways?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess the cop-out would be, go with an assistant one of your friends already tried out. Don't be the first to take the plunge. But if it's someone you don't know very well, I would watch for your communication, make sure it's prompt, make sure that their writing's up to the level you want, especially if they're going to communicate on your behalf, in social media or your newsletter. And another important key that would make sure that you both have an understanding of the workload and the time schedule. If you're finding you're having difficulties understanding each other or agreeing on a timeline, then it probably just isn't going to be a good fit. You can't force that to happen, I have found. So right off the bat, clear communication, promptness, and ask about their security too. That would be important. How they bill, how they keep track of anyone's names or passwords, that sort of thing, and how they keep track of their time. You don't want to get a bill for 50 hours of God knows what this person did, which I've never heard of happening, but just to be safe. Personally, I have a Google sheet where both me and the person can view it at any time. I write down exactly what I'm doing and when and timestamp it. So just make sure, for whatever billing, that's very clear for you, so you don't get in an uncomfortable situation.
Well, and likewise, you said that you kind of work with people that you know, so you definitely wouldn't. One, you don't want to run into that business side of a snafu in that sense of payments, but
Hmm.
also these are people that you ideally have a relationship that's outside of work, and you can talk to this person, one on one and level with them, and
Hmm.
you do want to be able to look them in the eye and not have that awkward tension between you, right?
Exactly. And especially some of these long-term assignments, you can work with this person for months and months and months. So, just make sure you get a good feeling off the bat, because if you kind of have an uncomfortable feeling and it grows, then 6 months later, everyone is really sad. So just, make sure you click well before you commit into a long-term thing. Just like a real relationship, I guess.
Oh, okay. Well, with that in mind, what was it that made you commit to do this full time? Like, I know that like you said you started off doing this with people that you know, and eventually you grew more clients. But like, when did this become like the job, like your vocation?
That's a good question. I think, it was kind of a uncontrollable beast once it started going. I realized that, it is something that I really enjoy. I get to meet all kinds of exciting people. I get to read great books, get to hang out with my cat at home all day. It had many pluses. And then as word spread about my work, I kept getting more and more offers, and I realized, I can really make this work. So it was kind of once it started rolling really quickly. And at that point, I just decided to dive right in.
Cool. Well, that's good. At least like you had that kind of slow escalation. It wasn't like you said. Some people will jump in and have a virtual assistant without having the kind of requirement to need one. And likewise, you want to make sure that when you're jumping into a career like us with self-published authors, you want to make sure that before you quit the day job, become an author, you want to make sure that you have the money to back you up. And so
Exactly.
it's good that you kind of went that route because I don't know many people would kind of have that in their head where just like I'm going to become a virtual assistant.
Yeah, I don't many people wake up and think that to themselves one
Like
day.
yeah, light bulb, hello, virtual assistant, millions of dollars, hello.
But but in saying that, if someone were interested in becoming a virtual assistant, what kind of skills do they need, and how can they get themselves started as a
Mm,
VA?
I like that.
Mhm.
I like that.
I mean, first off, is definitely organization. You're gonna be juggling a lot of people's timelines, schedules, workloads. So if you have any trouble, handling or self-motivating your own schedule, then it's probably not the best career for you. But as I said, if you kind of enjoy busy work, you find it zen in a way, then and you have no problem self-motivating and keeping yourself on task, you're not going to have an issue. Another great skill I think would be well, I'm trying to think. Organization's like 99% of it. Definitely a people person. You're not only going to be interfacing with your authors, but oftentimes they're going to want you to be their mouthpiece for various blogs, readers. If getting angry emails from readers is makes you nervous, then this probably isn't the best thing for you. So you got to keep your cool. You got to be able to talk to you
Other
know
people.
other people. Yes, I mean it is an internet job, so you might at first think, oh, I don't actually
Oof.
have to communicate with anyone, but that's not true.
Yeah, I'm getting sweaty just thinking about it. Oh,
Is it
real,
good sweaty
real.
or bad sweaty?
It's not good sweaty.
And it makes you nervous, especially when it's for someone else. That always gets me nervous because it's not, if you ruin your own reputation, that's one thing, but this is someone else who this is their career, and so you always want to be on top of your game, and and make sure you're presenting them in the best light. So yeah, it can get a little nervous some days.
Well, yeah, I guess, and I guess how is that for you? I guess writing in someone else's voice.
Well, I always talk with the author about the voice they want to have. Go over their work and what they post as and how they present themselves. So we kind of come to agreement before I would even begin to write as them. There's a lot of discussion that goes in before that. But otherwise, I have a lot of templates, that I've worked on that are to the point and professional, and then modify them for each specific author. So I don't have to, write up the same email 20 times a day.
Even authors find that they need their own little templates for those, really common responses or emails. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, and look at any kind of like Brian Cohen's program and the other one. I can't remember who offered that one, but any kind of the email list building, you are going to be, whether or not you know it or not, you're going to be running into these kind of routine type of thing, because it's going to be the free book, the blurb, and the random how you do an email, and then the next week I got something new. So you will end up having a certain set rotation, I guess, of certain email types. So it would be more beneficial to kind of have that, at least a broad stroke template in mind of knowing exactly, all right, well, it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks from now is when I'm going to have this book out, so therefore I should have the email out that's introducing the book now, so that and you time those things around accordingly. But if you did have those kind of things set up more in advance, and whether you go template or just kind of already have the posts ready and time them to be released at certain dates, it definitely would be an advantage no matter what, just because time is wasted so much on just doing those little minutia things. So if you can get it all done in one go, I dream of that.
Yeah, and that's why you hire a virtual author's assistant.
Is that why I do it?
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, I want to kind of go back on that list a little bit too, Meredith, because you talked about, well, you're full, right? But where's that very, very start point? Where should authors start looking to find a virtual assistant? Do you post an ad? Is there some websites? Do you do things like Fiverr or something like that? Where would you suggest?
I would suggest.
I hope not Fiverr.
Yeah, I'd be.
I don't want that virtual assistant.
Well, especially for long term. I mean, you should have an author group probably that you're spending time with online. And when you're in whatever forum or blog that you enjoy, check out to see what the people who also frequent that suggest. I think word of mouth really is the strongest point. I mean, it is virtual, so it's not like you can check on this person physically. So if you're in any kind of group where you can get a first-hand recommendation, I would highly recommend going that route.
Okay, makes sense. Like you say, you can't actually check on them.
Yeah, so
at least you know how.
Well, that's Erica for you right there.
She did just go to a hackers conference.
Yes.
I thought it was anti-hacking, but I guess not.
Well, you got to know how they hack in order to, anti-hack.
Oh, so you had to hack your way into the conference. It's an anti-hacking conference that you have to hack your way into in order to prove that you can actually go to the anti-hacking conference.
No, I go as an author to get lots of scary story ideas. That's where I go.
All chalked up to research.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
What was the question? I interrupted.
Yeah, I don't know. Where do we go? I do that all the time.
I've got one.
Go ahead, Erica. Go ahead.
So Meredith, because you've got so many clients and some of them are long-term things and you're dealing with all of these sensitive information, do you like have a contract set up between you and the authors, or is it much more informal, or
For me,
how does
it's
that
much
work?
more informal. Again, these are all authors at this point I know fairly well. If I were to ever start a website, be open on a larger scale, then I would definitely get into contracts. But at this point, most of my clients have been working with them for some of them, almost a year now. So yeah, I'm very comfortable with them. But yeah, if you're just starting out as a virtual assistant, look into contracts, and especially if you don't know someone that well, that would be my advice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is there any type of genre that you wouldn't take on? Did you have any of that type of screening process? Because I mean, how did you? Let me back up. So you just knew these authors just from groups and stuff that you were in?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So for my own writing and my own small attempts at self-publishing, I knew a lot of these authors already, and they're all fiction. I wouldn't take on nonfiction. Nothing against it. It's just I don't think I have the resources or the experience to be able to really help them, promote or advertise that very effectively. So that, it would really depend on if I felt I could do a good job. A horror is another one I haven't done a lot with, so I'd have to really discuss with the author, what they wanted and if I thought I could fulfill, their needs for that genre.
Okay. Cool. So would you consider yourself becoming a self-publishing expert since you're working with these authors?
I wouldn't say that. I do have an advantage just because I see so many people's strategies and kind of the behind the scenes of what works and what doesn't. So, I do get to see a pretty wide range of promotional techniques and cover branding, and so in that sense, I have quite a database going on, but as I said, my own attempts at self-publishing are pretty small and not very good. So, for all the good all that information does me.
Have you ever heard of a novel where there's a private investigating Tyrannosaurus who smokes cigarettes?
No, but that sounds really good.
And there's no erotica.
It's not
even close to
I was going to ask if the dinosaur had the sexy times.
I've been asked to put it in. I refused. I do not want to get into the minutia of dinosaur-human sex.
Or dinosaur dick.
I'm kind of uncomfortable just even saying the words dinosaur dick. It's just something that shouldn't come up naturally in my daily life, so why bother?
I love how you said come up.
Why would it? Why would it?
Oh my! See, I told you, Meredith, was it going to be keep clean the whole time? There's no way. There's no way. I'm back to my serious question. What are some of the biggest mistakes, or I don't know if mistakes is the right word, misuse of time that you see authors making? Where could they, or maybe having you doing things that they probably shouldn't have you do, whereas their time would be, or their money would be better spent doing other things?
Okay. I'll answer this in two parts. The first is what the author themselves are doing, and that would be the social media sinkhole, where you start posting one thing on Facebook and then it's 5 hours later and you haven't written anything. And while social media is definitely important, I think there's diminishing returns on how much interacting on there can do for you. So I see that quite a bit, and that's why a lot of authors will have an assistant, help them plan out their social media and post it for them, because it removes that temptation. If someone else is actually going in there and writing the post, then you don't get sucked into that vortex. Another thing that I see authors do is try to do too much. It's really tempting to be like, oh, I have a Twitter and a Facebook and an Instagram and a Tumblr, and it just goes on, and then they tend to not do any of those very well. because they have all of a sudden have 10 platforms they're trying to get word out, but no one has time to do all that and actually write. So that's another great thing Assistant can do, is help you focus on how you best interact with your readers. Some people write great newsletters, some people are much more comfortable on Twitter. Whatever works for your author style, an Assistant can help you focus on that and just spend your time on what actually works, and then you can get rid of all those other platforms. So that's for the authors. For the assistant stuff, I mean, I really try to keep on track of time. So, if I feel like something's going to be a waste of time, I definitely bring it up with the author, and we go over what I'm going to do beforehand. So I don't really feel like there's anyone has ever asked me to do something that I thought was a waste of time, and I didn't bring that up. I'm not just gonna twiddle my thumbs for the time. So I think that's why, if you have an assistant, it's important to have one you trust that can be frank with, so they can say, I'm glad you want to pay me, but I'm not, spending $15 for me to do this for you is a waste of your money. And you definitely want that in an assistant.
That's okay. Good point. So is everything billable just per hour? Is that how most virtual assistants work?
Yeah, most do per hour. Sometimes there's tasks that you can do per item. Like I would consider social media. You could do how many posts per month. You could do submitting review copies to blogs is another one I've seen that you pay per the blog. But for the most part, it's by the hour is the most economical way for you to pay, and it's the best deal, really.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
So what's the most common thing that authors ask you to do as a virtual assistant for them?
Most common. I think at this point, mostly handling arcs from review copies, sending them out to readers and blogs. And that, it's very straightforward. You have a letter you send out to everyone with instructions and their copy, and saying, I'm an assistant. You have any questions, talk to me. But it's just a matter of copy and pasting that 100 times. Makes it quickly worthwhile to hire someone to do that for you.
And on the other side of the coin, what's probably the weirdest task you've been asked to do?
I haven't been asked to do anything too weird.
That's probably good.
Right?
Yeah, it's probably for the best.
No one's asked me for creepy pictures or anything.
That's good.
Now, what do you define as a creepy picture?
Nothing with dino dick in it.
Yeah, no dinosaurs.
Why do you bring it up again?
But yeah, I can't really think of one. I mean, everything I've done has been involved with the writing and is pretty standard. Actually, now that I think about it, that's a little disappointing. I don't have any great, crazy stories.
Maybe you should do some virtual assisting for X. Then you've got some dinosaur stuff.
Exactly. I need crazy.
I wouldn't do that to Meredith. I've just met her, but I already know she would not appreciate. And it's very different from romance.
Well, I do have quite a few erotica authors I work with, so it wouldn't be the first time I had a dinosaur dick come across my desk.
You didn't call that weird?
It would be mine. I definitely don't have any dinosaur dicks on my desk.
Were there feathers? I mean, I reckon there's feathers on dinosaurs now. I mean, how far down do the feathers go?
Well, I mean, I've gotten some weird stuff, and I think that's part of a good assistant is they don't blink when you send them a book you wrote that's like getting banged by the space pirates with the dinosaur dicks, and
And
their
male
master
pregnancy, yeah.
comes.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, I'll definitely help you promote and talk about this book. And then
Interesting.
they don't even blink. See, that's a good assistant.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, you're getting paid, so, you know.
yeah, no, you would want to have that person who's like, bring it on, make it weirder.
Yeah, yeah.
I like what Robert Chaz Shooted said in the comments. What if it wasn't creepy pics that you're asking for? What if they were just tasteful pictures? Just a tasteful picture.
Just a nice little pose by the lake. Come on.
Yeah, but that's just getting very Jessica Jonesy. Smile, Jessica.
Oh, yeah. See, you're not so happy you came on the show now, are you?
Yeah.
See, all my clients are gonna listen, and now I'm gonna get tomorrow all these emails for tasteful pictures. It's gonna be terrible.
Oh, you're going to get so many unsolicited dick pics.
Dinosaur dick pics.
I don't know.
Dick pics.
I don't know if this one's been covered. Renee had asked, as far as what your clients think of, why do they choose you, and like what makes you so good, and or what do you find is your specific quality or specialty?
I mean, I think I hope I have a reputation for always delivering what I promise, and I always try to be really upfront if I can't fulfill something, or if I, as I said earlier, if I don't think it's worthwhile for the author, or if let's say they're going to do a promotional, run a promotion on a site that I've seen not work for other clients, I can give them a hint, be like, I wouldn't spend the money on this. So I think that's why I have a lot of repeat business, is I try to be always honest, and I really do try to make sure the author, gets the most for their money, both from me and from what other sites they're using. So I guess honesty is my superpower.
And your organizational skills.
Yes, I love spreadsheets. But otherwise,
There's been more than one person on this podcast that loves spreadsheets. So.
Are they assistants in waiting?
Could be.
Some of them make too much money already, because their spreadsheets work. Yeah, I'm a victim of spending a little too much time in Excel sometimes, and not writing. So I know what that's like.
Mm-hmm. You should have an assistant. They'll do the Excels for you.
Yeah, but that wouldn't keep me away from Excel. I got stuff to organize. Lists of stuff that have no real impact on my life. But I got to spend at least 8 hours on it.
You got to organize your organization.
Well, of course. Krishana asks, without asking what you make, how much would you say for a writer to budget if they wanted a quality virtual assistant? And Kate Morgan says spreadsheets, drinks.
So for budget, I wouldn't. There's quite a few quality VAs who go as low as 15 an hour, and I've seen it as high up to about 30, 45. Once you go higher than that, then definitely maybe make sure that that's they only work for you, and it's on a very permanent basis. If you're going to spend any more than that, you're hiring them full time because you're writing The Martian, and you're making tons of money. But if you're just starting out, you can get a great quality work for relatively low price.
Okay, so like how on average, how many hours a week do you spend working for each author?
And how much do you charge for those hours? I know. I just wanted to follow up the question of not to ask what you make, but how much do you actually make?
Well, for each, I mean, it depends. Like, I have some people, I maybe work for them once a month, or once every 2 months even when they have a release, and we just do a couple hours of something. And then there's other people where, some of my busiest clients, I probably do up to 10 hours a week for them, which is, they're getting pretty high up there with the time commitment at that point. I'd say if you start hitting maybe 20, 30 hours, again, you need to discuss if the VA is willing to commit, to just you and your projects, if that's something you want to do long term. I have a lot more flexibility, but if I had a client where, it was starting to hit 20 hours, I would think seriously about, can we make this work as a sole project or very close to it? Because at that point, I need to be available for them, so I can't have last minute projects pop up all the time, or sometimes people email and be like, I forgot to tell you I have a book out today. And I can't do that if I'm working with someone else 20 hours a week. So that's, kind of what rules me now is I try to keep it 10 or under for most people, so I'm still flexible.
So there's no real instance when you have to say, oh, sorry, no, I can't fit that in?
It rarely. I mean, it does happen. I have had times where I'm just like, I already have several things booked that day, and a last minute thing will pop up, and I always feel really bad. But it does happen on occasion. But most people, you your release, and you talk to your VA ahead of time, and there should be plenty of time. Give them a heads up. They'll like that. But things slip your mind. It's not a big deal. If possible, most VAs will try to work you in. But as I said, I've definitely pulled some all-nighters at points to get things done. I try not to, but there's nothing, like a trilogy launching last minute on a Friday where you're like, oh my God, this is terrible.
If you do find that a client starts becoming the 20-hour a week kind of thing, would you move to a fixed fee for them, or would you continue going with the hourly?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. It's not something, I've had to deal with at this point. I would definitely discuss with the author what they're comfortable with. I think, especially some of my more long-term clients, it would be something I'd be open to. But, it depends. Your VA and you, after working with each other for a while, which, I'd suggest before committing to any kind of 20-hour work, week work schedule or anything like that. Work with each other maybe 6 months or so. But when you get to that point, you should be able to figure out what works best for both of you.
Cool. Do you have a question there, Wade?
I did. I didn't want to cut you off, X. Sorry.
Ask it.
Okay. Without giving me away too much, do you have any tips or tricks for like stuff that authors could do to make themselves better organized, scheduling things, that sort of stuff?
I think, well, when you start off, I mean, give yourself plenty of time before you release your book, if possible. Time to get those final edits in, get your promotional stuff lined up, get your blogs lined up. If you're doing that, because the more you rush at the end, the more downhill it goes quite rapidly. Unless if you already are established and you have a fan base that you're pretty confident that they're excited for the book and will be receptive, then I guess you can wing it a bit more. But especially if you're starting out, give yourself plenty of time. Don't. It's really easy to get excited, especially first couple of books, and just hit publish before you're ready, before you have your whole schedule lined up. And then if you do that, the excitement quickly turns to sadness because you won't be able to get promotions. You won't be able to. You'll find you forgot those final edits. You didn't get your review copies out to people, and it quickly becomes a clusterfuck.
Well, yeah, and also I was just about to say, like how much does it you find like the lines kind of get blurred with because you're writing for this person as far as the emails, and you're trying to get all, like you said, the promos in gear and the releases in gear for those set times. how much does it start to get confused of you're going for their success more than yours, as like, because you're doing the same thing with the self-publishing for your own stuff. Do you ever kind of get lost and start thinking these are your books that you're working on, not so much the clients, kind of a thing?
Um, I mean, I definitely always know it's theirs. I'd get emotionally invested. I mean, long after like my work is done, I'll still bring the book up and check its rank, just to see how it's doing. It's like my little baby that's left the
Yeah.
nest. Um, and
That's
I
what I
get,
was wondering.
I get thrilled when they rank well, or when they get well received. That's especially because the authors that so many of them I work with closely, they're great friends. All of my clients I really enjoy as people. So to see them have a great launch is awesome. It's also easy because I do my own stuff on the side, that I often will push that away to work on my client stuff. And so, my poor own neglected writing wishes I would prioritize it a little bit more, but you do what you have to do.
Well, and just like any kind of job, ultimately, you're working to either appease your boss in your case a client, and that's the ends meet. No matter what, you have to appease the person that gives you the money, but you always have to have something about a job that you personally take from it as well. Like you may have hated working that job at McDonald's, but man, I got high as fuck there. That kind of a thing. Like I never worked at a McDonald's, but you know what I mean. Like I think no matter what, everyone has a thing about a job that that they'll always hold on to. So like, I think that's good. That at least you have that where you're getting paid, but at the same time getting something out of it as well by seeing those people succeed.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I mean, I was always very clear. Like, I understand. They're your boss. They're paying you. Never want to be unprofessional, but you do like these people as people, and a little bit about their life and how hard they worked on this book. So that is kind of the thrill that comes with it. Is you get to cheer on their books, and hopefully they do fantastic. I will say, it's one thing I've seen lately is, sometimes there's a book that has, great cover, great keyword, blurb on point, promos lined up, it looks fantastic, and it just doesn't happen. And that's one of the downsides of the job, because like everything is so on point, and it should have gone well, and you just don't know what exactly made it fall off the radar. So those are the tough days, especially when it's someone they put their heart into it, and you're like, damn it, I wish I could buy 1,000 copies myself, just to make this happen for you.
Well, and that's just it. Like, it must be kind of hard, the division between business and how you're empathizing with these authors, as we're all in this together as far as the self-publishing community goes. So when you see success and you're excited, and when you see someone slumping in the lows in the free categories, then you start going, so
Yeah.
I think it would be hard to get paid to feel that ride of that person's success and ups and downs.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Yeah, I will say, launching your own book obviously has its own sets of stress and anxiety, but there are some times where it's pretty close up there just being the VA, and you want it so bad for that person, and the low days, like, that can really suck. But for the most part, everyone I worked with lately, like, it's been going well, so I haven't had to drink too much after work. So that's good.
That's good.
Just celebratory drinks, right?
Yeah.
So do you read every author's book that you work on?
I wish. I don't have the time. When I first started out and I had fewer clients, I was able to do that, and I really enjoyed it, especially because the more you know about the work, I think the more helpful you can be. But at this point, I just don't have the time. So I try to read, at least one person's book every month or so that I can, or every other release they do, sort of thing. But yeah, if I had all the time in the world, I wish I could enjoy them all.
Yeah. Always more time. That's a recurring theme on this show as well. What if we just had
Right.
more time? More time. But that's what you're for, because virtual assistants give us more time, right?
Exactly.
More time to fill out spreadsheets, X.
Then you
Thank God.
get a
What
second
time to read Dinosaur Noir 2?
Yeah, but I only got like 15,000 left to do on it, and I've already gotten like 75 done.
So if you leave that 15 just kind of hanging there, then it's just like I only have 15
Well,
to do, but it's not.
I know. I know. To be honest, I checked my my work in progress folder the other day of how much I've written but not published. Guess how much it was? Over 200.
15,000?
No, over 200,000.
Wow.
Jesus, X!
I'm sitting on gold, motherfuckers.
How many you've got sitting in that folder? Go publish.
Yeah. Or just give some to me.
Honestly, most of them are somewhere between the either the 30 to 75% done. Most of them are not done, or if they are done, they're first drafts.
Yeah. The problems of an author, I tell you.
Guess what you're doing in January, X? Guess what you're doing in January, X?
I don't wanna.
Eric is a good motivator. I will give her that.
Don't make me do things. Yeah, I definitely would not benefit from a virtual assistant. What are you talking about, Erica?
Maybe she might have been why she invited Meredith on. It really wasn't trying to inform everybody, just you.
Is this my intervention, guys?
Yes.
Darn.
Oh, that actually made me think of a question.
Okay,
so Meredith, we've talked about how if you've had to turn someone away because you just don't have the time or they've left it too late. But what happens if they can't meet that deadline? You have to reshuffle, or
if they have a fixed deadline and I can't hit it for whatever reason, I do know other virtual assistants that I'll point them to. And like I have a friend who does this. They do a good job. Go ahead and use them. I don't have any problem with that. I think that's great, and that's something to probably look for a virtual assistant. If they can't help you, would they be willing to help you find someone else? Or if they go on vacation, what's their backup plan? Kind of deal. So if it's on pre-order and it's a set date, yeah, definitely send them to someone else. Occasionally they'll be able to rework their schedule if they really want me to be the one to do it, and I'll do everything I can to hit that schedule. And if they need to go with someone else, then that's totally fine. No hard feelings about that at all.
And what if they can't meet the deadline that they've set?
Oh yeah, if they say, oh, I need you to send out an ARC and a review copy, and then they don't get you the review copy, that's what you mean? Oh,
Yeah.
that happens. Yeah, I don't need to charge them for time or anything like that. Most of the time, they can give me a heads up within a day or so. So sometimes people just forget things. No biggie at all. I mean, again, that happens. That just frees me up to maybe work on my own writing or whatever that desperately needs to be done. So yeah, I personally don't have a policy where they'd have to pay for lost time or anything like that. I know some VAs do, so that's something to discuss, up front if you're going to hire one. If I forget, what happens to me?
Do I get punished?
Yeah.
Do you have relationships with editors and like cover designers and things like that too, in case like they have an editor that isn't available or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. I have, people I worked with on my own stuff, and authors have mentioned I really have been impressed with their work. So I can definitely recommend people in the sphere I've worked with closely before, and try to set people up as best with people I think will fit their personality, especially for like editors and things.
Cool. Do we miss any questions from the site, or X? Do you have another question?
Hypothetical questions. Let's say that you don't have a bunch of clients right now. How would you like to be approached by an author? Like, I think no matter what, it comes down. Like, if you're an author, a lot of people are plagued by those neuroses and how to word things right. And when you're sending off a query to either an editor or an agent or any kind of prospective business-related thing, it becomes this weird thing for a lot of authors. How would you, I guess, recommend people to send that email? How would you, other than not wordy like you had mentioned?
Yeah, it's don't be too wordy up front. But if you could be really clear what you're looking for, I've definitely had people approach me, and it takes a couple emails to kind of zero in on what they're looking for. And sometimes I can hit that goal, and sometimes I can't. But I don't want to email back and forth for several days and kind of waste their time only to figure out what they wanted in the first place is not something I'll be able to help them with. So be upfront, with what genre you're doing. Maybe your publishing schedule would be great. Like I'm gonna publish at least once a month, or I have an upcoming trilogy that's gonna go out once a week this month. I'm looking for someone to help with that, so they kind of get an idea. I would also, in the query, if possible, things come up last minute, but maybe start your search about a month or so before you would need them, so you can kind of lay out what you're going to need coming up. And maybe send some links to your Facebook page, your website, or wherever, so they can get kind of a hint about what you're, if you're saying, I want help with social media, send your social media so they can kind of get a feel of what you have at this point, and if that's something they can fit into their schedule. So bullet point it, give them a rough idea of what you do in your schedule, and then go from there.
Speaking of social media, do you have just your own favorites, or do you have any that you recommend authors concentrate on?
I mean, it depends partly on personality and genre. There's some that I think are kind of genre specific. Facebook, I mean, it's hard to beat at this point. Especially, I mostly work with romance authors, and I really think that's where most of the audience is, especially because a lot of the readers do tend to be, like 35 to 60 or so. And those, like, 45-year-old women aren't really on Twitter, so if you're a romance author doing, historical romance, I don't think you're going to find your clients on Twitter, or at least from what I've seen. Someone might be able to prove me wrong, but know your audience. Twitter, I think, is more for a younger crowd. If you're writing books that you think might have an older audience, I would go with Facebook. I have done a little bit with Instagram. Again, I think that there's not a lot of older moms on Instagram, but there's a lot of younger readers, like YA readers. That would be a great platform for paranormal. I think readers tend to be on there a bit more, but kind of research what your genre is and what you would use, where you think those fans are converging. I think, well, hopefully that's helpful. That's just, I don't know all the genres, but off the top of my head, those are a couple examples I can think of.
No, that's good. I like that. It's, because a lot of times I think, like you said before, authors tried the shotgun approach. They, I got to be here, I got to be here, I got to be here. And then they're not doing your quote, not doing very good at any of them, right?
Yeah.
So, which is a waste of time. So, good points. Definitely good points. All right. I'm trying to think if I missed any questions. Erica, help me out. You guys got any questions?
What is your favorite color?
I really like purple.
That is great. My lower key is purple.
Oh.
What's your favorite dinosaur?
I can't answer that. It's X-rated.
Ooh, Tyrannosaurus XXX.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, you were very thorough. I don't think I have any other questions. So
I got a couple. Two-part question.
Okay.
What is your New Year's resolution as an author, and what is your New Year's resolution as a VA?
Ooh, good.
Oh,
Since
man.
it's coming up, and we probably won't chat live until the holiday season.
Okay. This is getting real. Let me think. For an author, I think in the next year I'd really like to put out maybe 6 novellas, which is shooting really high, let me tell you. But if I could hit half that, that'd be great. For a VA, for me, actually, I think it'd be have a better work-life balance. I tend to be kind of a perfectionist person and type A and quickly get sucked into taking on more projects than I really should. So taking time to, we talk about read my author's books and relax and do things like that would be great. So I'll try to do a bit more of that.
Well, yeah, I think that was another thing we didn't bring up. You mentioned sleepless nights and every now and then celebratory drinking, but for the times that you're not either working on your author career or working on your many clients' author careers, what do you do in your spare time, if you have it?
I was gonna say, I hear people have these things called hobbies. I don't personally have one.
What?
No, I have been kind of sucked into work lately. I haven't been really great about doing other things, but I'm kind of like a little old lady. I like to knit and quilt and hang out with my cat, read mystery novels. So I'm like an 80-year-old woman.
Does that mean you're gonna write cozy mysteries as your author persona, or it just seems like the logical choice there.
Right, I've really thought about it. I also enjoy putting together puzzles. So when I'm putting together my puzzles, I'm thinking about mysteries.
Yay, puzzles! Love how puzzles have come up now.
But yeah, no, if my New Year's resolution happens and I have more time for puzzles, maybe it'll give me the relaxation I need to, come up with some cozy mysteries.
There you go. Add that to the list.
To the New Year's resolution, add one cozy mystery.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you are expanding your virtual author assistant empire, will you be hiring minions? And if so, would you like us to announce it if this time does come?
If I've ever got to the point where I could comfortably take on more people's minions, I'd definitely let you know. At this point, it would be quite a while, though, because I'd really have to know someone. I have some friends interested. It'd have to be someone I probably knew in real life, and train them. So, that's a pipe dream to expand maybe in 6 months or so.
There's another goal.
Yeah. Oh man, there's too many. I'm overwhelmed.
You better write them down in your spreadsheet.
It's true. Put them in the spreadsheet. You'll get to them. Well, Meredith, thank you so much for coming on. We do really appreciate it. It's very interesting. To be honest, I toyed with that idea of getting an assistant at some point, but I'd like, I'll never need one. But now that I listen to all the things that you do, and maybe I do need one. And I think we've definitely figured out that X needs one. But
I personally will settle for a panda that I can ride. That'd be great.
And it can do your social media too.
Well, yeah, because I would just go around and grace the people on my mighty steed.
And when would you get your writing done? Is that what your virtual assistant's for? It would be called a ghostwriter.
Yeah, but the panda.
It can be a hobby.
I already sold myself on the panda. You can't convince me otherwise.
Oh, X, you're a lost cause, but that's okay.
No, I'll get to it in January. I definitely have way too many work in progress projects that need to be filled. Some of them are, yeah, like I said, 25K away. Some of them are 50K away. Either way, I have to pull up the socks.
Yeah. I think we all could do that a little bit. We probably should do maybe a New Year's show or
a good sock pulling.
Yes. Yeah, I like that.
I'm wearing socks today. Socks, because it's summer.
Oh, that's right. Flip it around. Well, we don't want to talk about weather because Liam, but anyway.
It's a sensitive topic.
Meredith, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
If you got a few minutes, we'll stick around for an after party. Guys, watching live, I'll send out the invite. So if you guys are interested, talking to Meredith a little bit, at least for maybe just a couple minutes. But thank you to all the live listeners. I think we had 22 people in at one time, so that's pretty cool listening live. And again, for iTunes customers, please leave us a review. 5 stars, of course. But we love to have those reviews, so please do that for us. And if you're feeling like, as Xavier said, decking the halls for us, we do have that donate button on the site now. So just to help us out.
And the website is?
The website is, yes, selfpublishingroundtable.com. Really, really catchy, right? Pretty easy to find.
Deck our halls. Buy Wade a mojito.
A mojito, yeah, or just a cup of coffee is fine too.
Or actually, for for this time of year, maybe you might want something nice like an eggnog with rum.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Eggnog, yucky bunny.
Yucky bunny.
What the hell does that mean?
That must be a New Zealand thing, because that yucky bunny you heard that before. So.
Your bunnies must be yucky.
Oh my gosh! On that note,
good night.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Good night, internets.